Small business is defined by our Small Business Development Act, which refers to any enterprise that has 25 or less employees, grosses $2 million, Barbados dollars or less in annual revenue, and or has paid up capital of $1 million. And normally, any two of those three are used to define what a small business is. Unfortunately, we do not have a definition for medium enterprise, but the Small Business Association has used, drawing on the international definitions that are out there. We have used a definition that speaks to a firm that has more than 25 employees, but less than 75, and that grosses more than $2 million, but up to $10 million to define what a medium enterprise is. And obviously we know that the micro firm is often captured within the definition of small. Though we are still of the view that there's a need for us to look a little later on at some sort of amendment to our Small Business Development Act that can adequately address the micro subgroup within this particular sector. We are of the view that the small and medium enterprise community plays a significant role in the development of our economy and also our social fabric here on the island. The studies the world over have shown that as more persons enter entrepreneurship and self-employment activities, that there seems to be a positive correlation in the improvement in the quality of life, the standard of living of the citizenry. And believe it or not, I have read one particular study that showed a positive correlation as well between improved self-employment activity and a decrease in crime within a particular state. So we are satisfied that not only is there economic implications for having a vibrant small and medium enterprise sector, but there's also social implications and the social development and a positive social impact made on the economy as a result of the SME sector. Now, we know, again, from various surveys that have been done, that small businesses are able to reduce the use of foreign exchange through import substitution. We know that small businesses operate in all of the major economic sectors, all of the major industries within the economy. They represent opportunities for the vulnerable as well, our women and our youth. There's the opportunity for backward and forward economic linkages within the value chain. And we think that the studies have again been able to categorically indicate to us that having a vibrant small and medium enterprise sector contributes significantly to employment creation. The facts are that if we, in Barbados, for example, are able to create that enabling environment for 2,000 of our small businesses to each hire 2 persons, immediately you get, an increase in employment as a result of those 2,000 odd firms than one of our large enterprises, one of our large companies, being able to go out there and in one small scoop, hire 4,000 persons. So we've seen time and time again, and all the data has been there to support that our SME sector represents the opportunity for employment generation and obviously the reduction of unemployment within the society. We think that the enabling environment, therefore, is needed to facilitate this. And our vision here in the Small Business Association is to be able to encourage the growth of a sector that focuses on those sunrise industries, a sector that focuses on areas that look at software development areas within the information, communications, technology sector, businesses that look at the creative industries, entertainment, film, and other types of cultural services. We think that these represent definitely the opportunity for growth. And when you look at the type of business, often or not, they do not require a lot of capital outlay relative to brick and mortar. So we think that drawing on technology and the use of services will allow the business to keep overheads to a minimum, keep the costs down, but also be able to bring the value added to those industries that I think we need, and that in turn can help us to earn much needed foreign exchange. So our vision is that we're able, through education, through research and innovation, and obviously through having an environment that enables the use of ICT and enables the use of technology, obviously through a proper e-commerce platform, for example, that this enabling environment can help those types of persons to emerge as we look at repositioning our sector for growth in the ensuing decades. So that is the vision, really. We know that the SME sector has played a significant role from our independence period up until now. We know that the retail and distribution sectors have thrived. We know that tourism-related services have thrived relative to restaurants and other entertainment-type services. We know that they have done relatively well. We know that agriculture has played its part, light manufacturing, and so on. So these are the kinds of sectors that we've also had small businesses operating in the past. However, because of the shift in the global environment relative to knowledge-based type of services and knowledge-based industries, there is now a need for us also to see a shift in our SME sector's development relative to the new kinds of industries that we believe small businesses can find niche areas and therefore market not only in our domestic space, but more importantly, regionally and internationally, that we can build firms with the kind of product offerings that we can export. Because gone are the days where the focus is only on our domestic space. We can no longer survive in a market of 300,000 persons. We therefore need to have the kinds of businesses that would allow us to export in a short time frame. And again, I believe strongly in research. And there is a theory now that many universities have been analyzing, and many businesses have also been applying, known as Born Global. The Born Global theory suggests to us that we can have a business from the very stage of conception, from the initial stage of idea and development, created with the DNA for export. And I think that this is now something that we have to look at to ensure that our businesses here are able to export into the international arena and create the opportunity for much needed foreign exchange. But the type of industries, I believe, will be key. And as I said, the knowledge-based type industries, we need to focus on ICT, focus on the creative economy, focus on our services exports. These are the kinds of areas that I think can help to propel the small business sector into the next dispensation, and more importantly, help to reposition our economy and realize the kind of foreign exchange earnings that we need as an economy. Now, financing continues to be a challenge. Financing has always been a challenge, and I'm hopeful that with all of the lobbying that is being done and the discussions and the research that's been done, that we can address this matter once and for all. I believe that the most recent Global Competitiveness Report suggests financing was a challenge. I came across some other studies done by international agencies that show financing is a challenge. But I am not satisfied that it is the availability of financing as it is the access to financing. So that means that we have to address the access challenge. Small businesses, yes, they need funding. I mean, we've done in the last decade or so a lot of research and studies that showed that there was a challenge with small firms being undercapitalized. And obviously, if you undercapitalize your business from the beginning, in my view, it is being set up to fail. So the issue really is access. But I think that we need to go a step further and look at rationalizing our financing, look at organizing our financing more strategically and effectively. And what do I mean by that? Gone are the days where you run to a commercial bank, for example, for a loan for business startup. Gone are the days where you look to have a loan, irrespective of the nature of the firm or irrespective of the stage of growth of the business. I'm of the view that financing needs to be applied to the business depending on the stage of growth of the business, and depending on that stage of growth, then the appropriate type of financing is required. So what do I mean by that? We now in Barbados need to ensure that as a national effort, we're able to mobilize a volume of finance windows and packages that can be offered to the SME sector and supported by the appropriate education that would allow the small business person to apply for that type of financing dependent on the stage of growth. Right? So there's a mixture of finance products that we need to have in our market. The angel investor is important. The venture capitalist is important. We need to have grants provided to businesses. I believe that, yes, loan financing, which has been the traditional form, that has its place as well. And we also need to ensure that there are institutions that can help us with leasing, for example, for those firms that need to get equipment to assist in their operations. We already have the factoring program or discount in invoicing, if it were discount invoicing, and I believe that there's a need for us to look at having our junior market for those businesses that are in that growth phase, those businesses that have gone through the appropriate governance structures. You know, they've been through the teething process, and they are now on their way to a level of growth that allows for them to be able to trade on the junior market, and therefore be able to issue shares that obviously our Barbadians in particular can invest in, can purchase and thus invest in, and help to grow our medium enterprise sector. So I think that there's definitely a need for us at a national effort to look at the rationalization of our financing to make sure that we are able to bring together a mixture of finance products that can be offered to the sector that the business can therefore access depending on its growth phase, depending on its stage of development, depending on its growth cycle, and not a one-size-fits-all. That has been a challenge in the past. And so therefore, when businesses go to the commercial bank, and they are now at startup stage, and unfortunately, because they're now at startup stage, they don't have the track record, they don't have the data, they don't have the information that would satisfy the credit officer. Oftentimes, they are discouraged. The commercial bank, some of them, in my view, justifiably so, get a negative image, you know, but the sector is not the beneficiary of that process. And we want that we're able to bring together, they said, a national effort to help with the kinds of finance windows that can move the sector to the next level. I think that is the dialogue now and the kind of action plan that we need to work on to make sure that we can address once and for all this issue of access to financing for SMEs. of the view that our businesses have not tapped and thus benefited enough from the single market and single economy. And as we very well know, this was introduced to assist small businesses. I mean, that was one of the objectives of the CSME, to create a market for our small and medium enterprises to trade their goods and services. And we have not done enough to ensure that our SME sector can expand their markets and grow their market share in this particular space, economic space. And it provides an opportunity, I think, for us to, use an analogy, for our businesses to build their muscles and to, you know, strengthen their muscles in this regional space as we get ready to consider the international arena. And therefore, I think that the time has come for us to put back on the front burner and high on our agenda the CSME. Where are we at relative to ensuring that the legislative arrangements are in place to facilitate the trading of goods and services? Where are we at relative to educating our populace about the CSME and encouraging, incentivizing our small and medium enterprise sector to understand and appreciate that this space has been provided? 6 million people at minimum, and obviously if you consider Haiti and go beyond to look at CARIFORUM and include Dominican Republic, immediately that market is expanded. And I think that we really need to really look at ensuring our SME sector is educated, is incentivized to access our single market and economy. Gone are the days, as I said before, when we can only grow our market in this space here in Barbados of 300,000 persons. And the powers that be therefore need to work with the civil society organizations and by extension the small business sector to make sure that we educate and incentivize our small business community to strengthen relationships. And we're not just talking about the right of establishment and going to the various countries within CARICOM to set up your business, but there are various modes of entry. We encourage strategic partnerships always. We think that there's the opportunity for many of our firms to establish strategic partnerships with allies in these organizations. I mean, they can use franchising, they can use licensing methods. So many different modes can be considered for entry into those markets. But there's a need for us to incentivize them to get up and to begin to look at forging relationships and taking those goods and services into the regional market. As I said, the CARICOM heads would have put this framework in place to support our SME sector, not only for labor and capital to move, but also for our goods and services being produced by our small and medium enterprise sector to have the opportunity for growth in an expanding market space.